There is a way in which the violence inflicted on Ugolino's children seems to repeat or reenact the great drama of the Christian sacrifice, right? Because he are now also crucified. In fact, there he died, and the stausismi, so the three drop one by one during the 5th day and the 6th. Therefore, I gave myself now blind. That's what it is, a lack of perspective. He sees nothing. He therefore has no distance from anything, nor can he tell things apart or distinguish things one from the other, to groping over each, and for 2 days called on them after they were dead. Then fasting had more power than grief. An extraordinarily ambiguous line, because you really do not know what he's saying. According to Rodin, for instance, will go on making a statue of this. It's at the MoMA, and you can go and see that. The story is that of that Ugolino ate his own children. Then fasting had more power than grief. I yielded to the appetites, the urging of hunger more than grief. Or maybe he's saying just something else. Maybe he's saying then fasting had more power than grief. I really died of fasting for hunger rather than for the grief. We don't know. And I think that part of the tragic mode that Dante is trying to convey to us is that we are left, and this is, by the way, Borges reading. Borges writes 9 lectures on Dante. What else? Realizing what the importance of number 9 for Dante. He writes 9 lectures on Dante, and one of them is on the story of Ugolino. And he says he actually wants us to leave, he wants to leave us in suspension, to believe that it's possible that he may have been eating the children, but maybe because the sensibility of so many critics have been offended by the suggestion that he actually could go on cannibalizing his own children. And I think that Borges is right, that we are not supposed to be able to tell apart, that ambiguity of that line is never going to be quite resolved. It's going to be forever there. But the most important element of this tragic occurrence, and the Dante, before I go on, let me just say, Pisa, Dante goes on into an apostrophe against Pisa, again with this language of, now he talks, he breaks the silence. Pisa, shame of the peoples, of the fair land where sounds the sea. Another little touch, of another little echo of the Vulgari Eloquentia. That is to say, in the moment where he's dealing with treachery, which I call the most nihilistic of all sins, because you really declare null and void any bond that you may have with others. He uses, and the irony is to me glaring, the affirmative particle, as if here there is any possible affirmation. There is none. Where sounds the sea, since thy neighbors are slow to punish thee, may Capraia and Gorgona shift and put a bar on Arno's mouth, so they drown every soul in thee. This is really the kind of language that Ugolino himself had used when, before the consummation of the tragedy, he really begs the earth, an earthquake, that the earth may open up and swallow all of them. Here Dante is using exactly the same language. The idea that's so horrifying is the spectacle that he has been, the tragic spectacle he has been witnessing, that the whole world here, there could be an apocalyptic ending to the world. But to go back to the key issue, there may not be time for a discussion today, and I apologize. The real tragic event, though, what is the tragic event other than, okay, what if Ugolino had the name of betraying their stronghold, thou shouldst not have put his children to such torment. So this has been the crucifixion of innocence. Their youthful years, thou new Thebes, Pisa is the new Thebes, a new Thebaid we have been witnessing now, made them innocent. Uguccione and Brigata and the other 2 named already in my song. This is really the tragic. Dante has been using now the tragic language, indeed, that he had been hoping and theorizing in the Vulgari Eloquentia, and then they move on. But what is a really tragic occurrence? The tragic occurrence is in the very presence of the Christological language in this canto. Because the sacrifice of the cross means one thing and one thing only. That now all violence is finished, and because we have found the scapegoat, the voluntary scapegoat, who goes around saying we're all innocent, and that he is the guilty one. That's how we are declared. That's how we are redeemed. That's why we are made innocent once again, right? But this story here, reenacting and echoing the story of the cross, seems to say the futility, seems to announce the futility of that sacrifice. Retrospectively says that that sacrifice too was just one of the senseless acts of violence that have happened in history, and that punctuate human history. Of course, this is not the end of the poem, but it's the most desperate part of the poem, because Dante comes to believe that the law of history, that the law of the world is really a tragic law, and there is something absolute about it, and not quite escapable.